and welcome back to the Ladies of Selling LA Luxury podcast. And I am Angel.
I'm Anne-Marie.
And we are here to talk about a topic Anne-Marie does not want to, which is
Wait. For the record, I don't want to talk about any of this.
True.
Let me keep my feelings to myself.
That's true, but this is a very important one, and it is the real questions that you should ask before entering into a partnership for any business. And for us, it's more of a shoulda, coulda, and we needed to and didn't type situation.
I think
so.
This whole season is like learning, right? Like our mistakes, your blueprint, right? Like don't make our mistakes. But literally, if you're going to go into a partnership, and this is not only just in business, but like in life, you got to figure this out a long time
If you don't
before.
take any other episodes from this season and you plan on having a partnership with anyone in business, this is the one that you need to be listening to.
Anyone in business and life.
Yeah, but right now we're talking about business because life and personal can get even deeper. So do you want me to get deeper?
We don't have,
Yeah, I think so.
We don't have time for that.
So it's so important that I have notes. So I had to keep my phone.
She does have notes.
So I'm going to go with my number one that...
Ooh. Are we going in order?
This is my number one, so you can tell me yours.
Shit.
So my number one, if I ever enter into another business relationship, this will be my number one question, and the answer will determine if we even decide to do business together.
This one.
Is, are you in therapy or are you open to it if you're not?
That's my number one.
That's my number one. It's a deal breaker for me.
Okay. Can we unpack this?
Really quickly.
Okay. Like, meet people where they are. Like, if they don't want to go to therapy.
No, no, that's bullshit. Because listen to this. It's bullshit. If someone on our team said they can't do something or they don't have time to do something that's going to make them better and better serve their clients and better serve their lives, Anne-Marie's first response would be, what?
Suck it up, buttercup.
Exactly. So when it comes to self-help and therapy, there's no excuse. There's no excuse.
Okay, but for someone like me that literally compartmentalizes everything, right? Like, I have a relationship with you because you're my business partner. I have a relationship with their team because they're our team. I have a relationship with my fiance because he's my fiance. I have a relationship with my kids because they're my kids. And they usually don't intertwine. So...
But therapy helps all of those relationships. And you. So if someone says, I have the answer to like the key of abundance of happiness, Anne-Marie, do you want to hear it?
Are we ready to cut this episode?
What are you going to say? If Tom Ferry comes up to you and says, I have one goal for you this year and nothing else matters, and he says it's to go to therapy, what would you tell him?
If it's Tom Ferry, I would say absolutely.
So Tom Ferry, I'll be messaging you after this.
If it's David Goggins, I would say absolutely. If it's Tony Robbins, 100%.
So she's saying she doesn't respect me on their levels. So that's great. We really need to enter into therapy. But truthfully, like I will never, ever, ever, this is in any relationship that I have, therapy, no matter whatever your form is, if you're not willing to do it, I just told her this the other day and I was not kidding. I think she thinks I was kidding. So you guys are going to hold me to it. If she's not enrolled in therapy by herself, by the end of the year, we will be starting therapy together for a business, because I think that one of the common misconceptions is that you don't need it, but we actually have like a marriage and we spend a lot of intimate time together and we impact each other, both positively and negatively. Yeah. And so if she doesn't do it by the end of this year, that's fine. I'm going to enroll us into therapy. And if she declines it, you won't be seeing us together for the next season because we won't be partners. So that is my number one. I think it's so important.
I know you do. And I love that about you. I'm just reserved. And like, again, there is a gap between our ages, right? So I grew up in a time where it was like, suck it up, buttercup. You can handle this. You can do it.
And then we learned that is toxic. So if we know better, we do better. And you're the queen of being the best example in everything other than taking care of yourself. So like that would be my number one thing moving forward for like anyone.
Okay.
I'm sure you have a number one that's like Probably 100 number ones that you wish you asked.
I have 100 number ones. Literally, where do I start? How many hours a day do you work? How many children do you want?
Is that
wait. Let me go through my 100 first.
Your 100 first.
How many hours a day do you work? How many kids do you want? How naked are you? 50% of the time. Like, I could go on for days on my 100. But I think my number one, this is a tough one.
Which one?
This is really a tough one.
Mind you, these are things we didn't ask each other.
No, we totally do not. So I was just telling the podcast crew, right? Like, one of the things, like, there's so many things I love about you. One of the things that like hooked me was your drive and dedication, right? So we're very similar in that respect. It's like, go after the business, like do whatever you got to do, door knock. I mean, our client Zach, hey Zach, we miss you. Like that solidified for me, like this is somebody that I will work with like 100% of the time, like regardless of any disagreements that we have or whatever, I know that she's looking out for the client's best interest. We're going to make this work, like whatever.
Similar work ethic. We can
very similar work ethic. But there's a lot of questions that when you're partnering with someone or when you're getting into a business relationship, whether it's a partnership or whether you're joining a team, these are the questions you need to ask. So I think, I don't know.
What would be your number one?
That's a tough one. I think my number one, regardless of your family plan, I think my number one would be how many hours a day do you work?
Unpack it though.
Okay, and the reason I ask this is because
I'm a psycho. I'm
a workaholic, right? And I will tell you that I work 24/7.
She does.
I work 365. I do have limits though. I had a listing in South Pasadena. I was the listing agent, right? So, and I got a text, this was years ago before you. I got a text that was like, hey, the only time my client can see it was on Christmas. And I was like, oh, hell no. Like, even I have my limits, right?
Yeah.
I would not show on Christmas. So I'm a workaholic. So for me, I think that's the biggest thing. Like, how many hours do you work? So I figured, because I knew her, we started this relationship.
Both being workaholics.
I saw how she was with our mutual client, Zach. I'm like, this is the person for me. This is a business partner if I ever were to get into business again. But the thing for me was she has such a big family plan. My family's older, right? My kids are older. Hers are in the younger. They're all under 4 years old. And so how many hours do you work? She's up at 4. She's up at 5. Our day starts at 5:30. Our day ends when her kids go to bed. Our day doesn't end when her kids go to bed. Our day begins when her kids go to bed.
Yeah.
So it's like we start at 5:30 and then we end at like 6:37 so she can get the kids and do her thing. And then we start again at 9:30.
And then you'll get my messages again at like 9 p.m.
9:30. Yeah. So
and if I'm breastfeeding a newborn, which happens every year,
then it's 24. It's literally 24/7.
I take little power naps.
So, and that's not a problem for me.
But it's a lot. I'm a lot.
You're a lot.
Like, and it's not undermining Anne Marie's work ethic at all because she outworks almost anyone I know. But I've also had to learn that like my standards of working are not for everyone. Correct. Because they're psycho.
Yeah. So I think that would be the biggest thing for me is like literally how many hours do you work a day? And like even when we were with our coach, you know, we're doing this whole time management thing, we're time blocking. And he's like, okay, you know, Angel's working from here to here to there. And I'm like, no. You don't understand. Like, she's up at 4 a.m. Like, she's working. Okay, I have to tell you, I don't know if I ever told you this story. So, obviously, I'm a little bit older than you. There was this commercial, and hopefully our crew can, like, pull it up. But there was this commercial when I was growing up for the Army. And their tagline was, we do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day. Have you ever heard that?
No, but that's
okay.
But the military taught me that.
Yeah, literally, there was this commercial on TV, on the radio. We do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day. I literally, when I was in 8th grade, I wanted to join the army. I wanted to shave my head. Well, I wanted to shave half my head, but that's a different story. I wanted to shave my head. I wanted to be in the army. I was not woman enough to do it. You, who I respect very much, were woman enough to do it. But I think about that a lot because we literally do more by 9 a.m. than most people do all day.
Yeah.
And so I love the fact that we're both workaholics, that we're so dedicated, that we're both on that same vision. But that would be my number one.
I would say that is so important too, because if you're a business partner, like me, like I have zero resentment towards Anne-Marie. I understand that she's not going to be up at 3 hours in between the night because she's not pregnant and miserable working. So like, I'm not mad when she's not keeping up to the hours. But if you are going to be a person that you expect someone to match your work hours and how many hours that you're putting in, you need to have that conversation up front.
100%.
Because if not, there'll be resentment and it's just not fun. You know? I would also say, if we want to fire off some things,
okay, let's do it quick.
We got through some of the good ones,
good ones.
Family planning. I mean, we didn't talk about this. I've been upfront that I wanted a lot of kids, but then like the reality of having like a kid every year is really. I mean, our business hasn't stopped. It's just we get creative and we change it, but there are some people that their business stops. So like if you're family planning, it's very important. If you want to take time off, I happen to be very blessed. I feel really great after having a baby. So I don't want maternity leave, but I space up my maternity leave throughout the year, you know? So I'm like, I want that. So family planning is so important. How many kids do you want? How fast do you want them? Can I help keep the business? Do you need time off? How do you run your business? Corporate America, lead with love and balance, or a combination? Like we didn't talk about this.
Corporate America.
Lead with love and a balance. So
Corporate America. Corporate America. No, Corporate America. I'm Corporate America.
And I'm lead with love and balance.
I know.
And so when you're hiring people, you lead them up for failure because you have to understand do you take a combination? Do you follow one? Do you follow the other? Yeah, so like that's super important. Do you prioritize self-care and balance?
No.
She doesn't. I do. Even being a crazy psycho with my schedule. And so that's important because you have to respect each other.
Out.
Yeah.
I totally get burnt out. And she doesn't get burnt out because she takes the time.
Yeah. And then optimism or pessimism. I don't know how to say it because I'm not that. So I'm an optimist in everything.
I'm the pessimist.
And so that's important, right? Like, how are you going to look at things? And are they solution oriented?
Yeah.
Are they problem oriented? Can you solve them together? Can you figure it out? This is a really big one for me that I never even thought of. Abundance or scarcity mindset. I'm abundance all day. So
I'm scarcity.
And I think that impacts our business, you know?
100% it impacts our
And
business.
so that is an important conversation to have because how you feel about money and how you believe it flows and comes in and what you're willing to do. Like, I truly believe I created my business by designing who I am and my brand, and that I'm doing what my God-given purpose was, and that the universe has my back, and it is gonna flow, and it does. And then there's Anne-Marie that I'm like, why are you so stressed out all the time? She's like, money.
Have you
money.
not seen her bank
Every time
account?
something comes up, did you check the bank account? I'm like, no, like, let's just keep going. Like, money, like, it's gonna come, it's gonna pour.
Okay, I have to stop you here. So when I say money, like, if you don't have a coach, get with a coach. Every coach will tell you differently. Our coach is telling us 6 months, that we should have 6 months.
Yeah.
There was a time.
There has been times,
where her and I had to feed money into the business because it hasn't been there.
Yeah.
And so that comes from a scarcity freaks me out.
But for me, I'm like, well, that's just the journey of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like, eventually you have to do that. If we only have to do that once or twice, then we're in a good fucking place, you know? There are some people that have had, like, that you heard on the stage, they're like, I was negative $700,000 in my business.
Yeah.
I took out $700,000 in credit lines to run my business. And I'm like, we don't do that. Like, you know? No, we're smart.
Yeah, we're smart.
I'm not an idiot. I don't just like, oh my God, it's going to flow.
Right.
Like, let's just keep spending it. But like, that's important.
It's important.
Here's a huge one.
Oh God.
Current financial situation, what it looks like with each partner as far as financial commitment and sacrifices. So we never talked about this before
We 100% didn't talk about this. And
at all.
like, we go back to the very beginning of this podcast, right? Where we talk about what's the most important thing. I think this is super important because we are on as everything I feel, we're on totally opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like, I need to bring in an income. I support myself. I've got 2 kids very soon. Both kids will be in college. Like, I have expenses.
Yeah.
And I'm super stubborn. I'm a Taurus. Like, you know, one of your children are a Taurus, so you know how stubborn we can be. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
But
that impacts decisions because I'm opposite,
100%.
right? Like, I have my man who believes in providing at all costs. He doesn't take anything from me. He wouldn't even if I tried to. So, like, any money that we bring in, any money that I have on my side, because I do have, like, VA money and other stuff coming in as well, all of that goes in towards savings and investments for our kids.
Yeah.
So, if you start talking about, like, building a business and being able to take risks, I can be riskier because I'm like, I can do that and where I'm at. And you can't, you know?
Yeah.
So that is a huge one. And neither way is wrong, but you better talk about it because you don't want to be pissed off later if you're like, oh, I came into this thinking that we are going to just throw everything back into the business. And someone's like, well, no, I need to make a salary. Like, I can't just do that, you know?
Yeah. And for how long? Like, every business has growing pains, right? So, like, we've done a lot. We were a Hot Mess Express. We've done a lot of things wrong. So at what point will we finally start bringing income in?
That is enough for you to survive.
Right.
Because since mine is like play money essentially to invest with, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's even crazier because you also need to know their financial commitment because most people that are comfortable like me that live this great life because someone else provides and I'm so blessed, they're not as hungry as me. So usually they'll be a little bit more comfortable and they probably won't work those 24-hour days. So that's important.
Yeah.
Short-term versus long-term goals. We talked about those, but like you can always get deeper. Do you want to work in the business or on the business?
That's a huge one. Like, I feel like all of these are like so important.
Tequila.
So important because I know that your strategy is let's go in, let's build a team,
Let's
and then
build this empire.
Right, let's build
and then
this
we'll
empire.
have other faces that run it, right? That's me. And Anne-Marie's like, girlfriend, I'll be involved in the business on the boots on ground.
Let's make the calls. Let me answer the calls from our team. Let me help this out. Let me call escrow. Let me do this. Let me do that. Because that's what I've been doing for 17 years. So like it's just a natural thing for me. And I have income properties. I have money coming in. But like my passion is like, let's keep it going. But that's not your passion.
And I keep telling her, I'm like, I'm going to retire you, girlfriend. Stop. Like, I am your retirement ticket. Like, embrace it. We are going to love it together.
We will love it together.
Strengths versus weaknesses. What are your boundaries? And then are you going to rock with me when the honeymoon is over? So if you have, I truly believe if you have two people that at least share the same values, goals, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to figure it out, that you won't fail as long as you guys complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. But I want to leave you with 3 quick tips because I know this is going to be a long episode. So
wait, before you say that, it's so important because I love the fact that we're opposite, right? We're so opposite in so many things. Mostly being like, I'm at the age where like, in 10, 20 years, I'm going to retire.
I'm going to retire in 10 or 20 years
She's
too.
going to retire in 10 or 20 years too. But
just differently,
Yeah. Like we have that balance.
Yeah.
But again, it keeps going back to you have to have those uncomfortable conversations. And having them up front is so much better than being in the middle of it and being like, what do you mean that you're going to do this?
Especially if you have a partner that doesn't like to communicate things.
I'm not the communicator.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, we're going to get through it. I told you guys therapy is going to be a thing. So let's go through 3 quick tips. So establish a divorce contract while you still love each other. And that's so important.
Wait, we need to talk about that. So a divorce contract is, for those that don't know, before you get into any business, and we were bad about this because we just were like, oh yeah, we want to build a team. Awesome. We're workaholics. So yes, let's go. A divorce contract is basically eventually you will divorce, whatever it is, right?
One will retire, one will get out of the business.
One will pass away.
You might want to break up.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Something will happen.
When you are fresh in the business and before you even get into the business, have this conversation, and it's 100% uncomfortable, 100%. But who's going to get the Instagram? Who's going to get the podcast?
Are you guys going to buy each other out? Is there going to be royalties?
There's
is there
so much.
Is there a company that's going to evaluate it? Or, there's so many different things.
So many things.
But don't wait until you're about to divorce to do that.
It gets ugly.
Yeah.
I've been through a divorce. It gets ugly.
Yeah. So we have our divorce contract while we love each other.
Yes.
And when we made it, it was through wanting to make sure that both of us leave in good graces.
And our families.
And our families are taken care of. Establish shared goals and vision. And then ensure both partners are willing to be open-minded and use tools and resources to grow and be better, because that everything else can be worked out, I feel like. Right?
Yeah.
So
I think we've done good.
This was a long one because obviously you can see we didn't do this work before.
No.
Right? And so we're still working through it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Neither of us are wrong in this situation. We're just different. But not everyone is going to have great people like this, and it could end very nasty really fast. So just do the homework before, put in the time before to figure it out.
Have the uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we missed a question, let us know, because we're still figuring that out with our partnership. Please.
If we haven't figured something else out yet, please let us know.
We're ready to tackle it now. But don't forget to like, comment, share, DM, call.
Call me. Don't call her.
Me, yes.
Call me.
And thank you for holding it out with us. I know this is a long one. We appreciate you. And until next time, beautiful humans, namaste.